from army background, and we're just gonna start right now. Just one moment, please.
What is the AMI? What is his name?
His name is Ranjit.
Sanjeev. No, that AMIR is a young kid.
Sorry, I am he's still not logged in.
Sir, it's
Okay.
me, Amir from Kashmir.
Amit.
No,
Okay.
I'm talking about the
Yeah.
other gentleman. His name is Ranjit.
Okay. Very good. Very good. We can get started. Yeah. Okay.
Just one
Okay.
more minute, sir. Just one more minute. I think. Apologize.
Sunil and Amir, just I do want to introduce Orbin sir is the CEO, founder of the Cyber Radar University in USA. He is taking care of the all USA activities. And myself, also CEO of the Cyber Radar University, I am taking care of all of the instructor, training section, marketing, sales, okay, all department in India. Okay. And also we have another meeting after 10 minutes. Urban sir, me, you can wait for this meeting. Just I would want to thank you to all guys. Just to have a training section with from Tommy and also Mukesh Kumar. Okay, Mukesh also will continue next batches. Okay. If you and as per our UPS USP, we will give the 40 hours practical training and 20 hours for theoretical training. Okay. If you are not satisfied, or if you are not if you have any doubt for courses, for classes, for placement, whatever may be company commitment with you, it means our sales guy, Mr. Karan or Santanu, what commitment, okay, we will deliver. Okay, everything we will deliver. Okay, best of luck. You can start your cyber radar university courses. Okay,
Okay.
Tommy. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna start. Welcome, Sunil and Amir. Let's make a new beginning for cyber, and let's have a smooth and a stable career with and it's a pretty lucrative career, cyber security and ethical hacking. So let's make a start. Tom would be joining. Tom is from Virginia, and he's a blogger, and he has written a lot of fabulous blogs on cybersecurity. It's his passion, So that's what he do, and he is have total 5 to 6 years experience. And as in right now, Tom is also an educator trainer. He's also a trainer developing security awareness programs, and policies. So he's already into it and been doing it. And Tom, sir, it's all yours.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, good evening in India, good morning here in Alexandria, Virginia. My name is Tom Huskerson. As I said, I am talking to you from Alexandria, Virginia. And today we're going to be discussing or introducing cybersecurity. I understand that many of you are very much interested in cybersecurity, and that's a wonderful thing because right now in the world today, cybersecurity, the internet and electronic communications is probably the greatest at its summit. We have never had a time in history where information has been exchanged and the availability of information has absolutely exploded beyond anything that probably our ancestors or even our parents could have imagined. So I'm glad that you're interested in cybersecurity. And one of the things I want to tell you is that when you're interested in cybersecurity, what we're talking about is a field that is so wide. I mean, there's so many different facets of cybersecurity out there. You can be dealing with people, as I do. You can be dealing with cybersecurity policy. You can be dealing with cybersecurity technology. You can be dealing with information security. There are so many facets to cybersecurity that if you're interested in the field, I'm sure you can find something that will really pique your interest, will really reward you as a career, both as a personal reward, as a financial reward, being able to bring in the money, care for our families, and live a wonderful life. And that's one of the things that I really love about cybersecurity is that the ability to see so many different things, facets of cybersecurity. It's just really incredible. So what we're going to start with is, hold on just a second.
So there's one more person, Ranjit. He's waiting. So as a host, Rashmi, could you let him in, please? Thank you. He's already in.
Ranjit is there. You can see Ranjit. Ranjit, welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome, Ranjit, sir. Okay. We have Tom joining from US, Virginia, who will be taking the class today. And he's a blogger and been into cybersecurity from a long time. So, Tom, sir, please carry on.
Okay, I'm about to begin my presentation. I will just want to make sure everybody is able to see it. I'm sharing my screen now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, introduction to cybersecurity. What we're going to do is we're going to have a basic understanding, identifying and how to combat cyber threats. But mostly this particular course is going to help you to understand what cybersecurity is and what it is that we are doing when we work in cybersecurity, okay? So let us begin. One thing I like to tell everybody when I talk about cybersecurity is that in this age of the internet, you're always one click from destruction. Cybersecurity is serious business. One click and you and all your coworkers could be unemployed or worse. I see that a lot. Small businesses, people click on the wrong thing. They wipe out the company network, wipe out the company data. It happens. And that is what cybersecurity is. It's the ability to protect not only the information, but the networks and the systems and the people that use those networking systems. Everyone, could you please mute your microphones, please?
Hi, Tom and all guys. Just I have to left from a meeting. Okay, we have another meeting. Okay, Arvind sir.
Okay.
Arvind sir, you can join on 7 p.m.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Hi.
All right. So as I was saying, it's not uncommon for a company to go out of business after a cyber incident. One of the things about cybersecurity you need to understand is not every cyber incident is a cyber attack. The simple fact that maybe someone in the company does not understand the technology, or they may do something inadvertent that they shouldn't have done, will cause problems within the company. They may accidentally delete a file. They may accidentally disconnect the network. There's always some sort of situation that can happen within a company. But we have to make sure that we understand when it comes to cybersecurity, it's not always a cyber attack. Sometimes it's simple, either negligence or the lack of intelligence as to what it is that they're doing or working with that sometimes can result in a cyber incident within a company. These things do happen. So that's something you want to keep in mind. According to research, careless, negligent, or untrained employees are the #1 cause of data breaches. I'm going to explain a little bit later on what a data breach is, but I want people to understand that 90% of all cyber attacks are caused by human error or behavior. And basically what I'm saying is that cyber attacks are 9 times out of 10 are the result of a human error. And the really frightening part about cybersecurity as we get into the topic is that sometimes a cyber attack is a direct result of somebody doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about when it comes to hackers, social engineering, that type of thing. We're going to get into that as well. But you'd be surprised, and let me give you a good example. Most recently, we had a huge cyber attack here in the United States on companies and the federal government. And the result of the cyber attack was the simple fact that the people that were involved in the cyber attack were doing exactly what they were supposed to do. They were updating their network and their systems with the software from the company. But what they did not realize was that the company had been infected, that the updated software had been infected with malware that allowed the hackers to operate. So sometimes a cyber attack is the result of someone doing what they're supposed to do. That's what makes this feel so exciting, but also can make it rather difficult sometimes. 60% of small companies that suffer a data breach or other attack are out of business in 6 months. We already talked about that. And cyber attacks are the #1 business risk right now. And just so you understand, that is why the cybersecurity field is such a lucrative field right now, because we have a situation where the businesses are starting to understand that their biggest risk is not a fire, it's not a financial risk, it's a cyber risk. So the employee is going to be the first line of defense in a cyber attack. So that's one of the things that we're going to focus on. So let's begin. What is a cyber attack? All right. A cyber attack is an attempt by a hacker to change, damage, or destroy a computer network or system or the information it contains. All right. So let's break that down a little bit. Let's begin with the term hacker. Okay. The term hacker is actually not a negative term. There's several different kinds of hackers. There is what's known as a white hat hacker. A white hat hacker is someone who is permitted by the company or the organization to attack or explore their network. Okay, so a hacker can be a paid professional, and there are companies out there whose job it is to explore computer networks and find vulnerabilities and ways to attack the network and report that information back to the company. It's a very, I guess you could say legally, it's a very intricate and agreed upon thing that they will do. They will follow certain parameters. They will understand where it is they can attack and what they can explore and what they can or cannot touch. The company understands that this is happening, you know, and basically it is another area of the cybersecurity field that if you're interested in cybersecurity, that may be something you want to be get into, is becoming a hacker. Paid professional hackers are very good at what they do. They're very intelligent people. And 9 times out of 10, they're also very secretive because they don't want anybody to know what it is that they're doing. And that's because the company wants to identify the vulnerabilities both in their network and in their people. So the hackers are very quiet about what it is that they do. They don't broadcast it to the company unless the company says that they should. Sometimes they will conduct an exercise where they attack a company and the company knows that the attack is coming. The employees know that the attack is coming, and that is part of the contract where they go into it. All right, so that is a white hat hacker. Now we have another hacker that is known as a gray hat hacker. Now, a gray hat hacker is someone who will attack a network without the company's permission, but they do not have a malicious intent. The intent is to notify the company that their systems are vulnerable. So they will attack a system, they will find the holes in the system, the vulnerabilities in the system, and then they will let the company know, hey, this is what we found, and you need to fix this. Gray hat hackers are very interesting people. They have, I guess you could say, a golden heart, and they want to do good, but they are not the white hat hackers. They're not doing good by permission. They're doing good by compelling the companies to respond to what it is that they're doing. And that is something that is also an interesting facet of cybersecurity. So we have the white hat hackers who are working with the company to identify the vulnerabilities. We have the gray hat hackers who are doing good without the company's permission and let the companies know what's wrong with their systems. And then finally, we have the hackers that most people are familiar with, and these are called the black hat hackers. And I'm talking about the black hat. These are the bad guys. Black hat hackers will find and attack a network, computer system, or the information contained in a computer system for the purposes of either criminal, which means that they're attacking to steal something, to extort the company, where they use ransomware and other software to extort money or actions from the company, or they have a political reason for attacking the company. And they do this with the intent of inflicting damage or negative, I guess you could say, a negative profile on the company, where the company looks bad in the eyes of the public or its customers, or they want to make a political statement, or they want to steal the information and sell it back to them, lock down the network so that they cannot use it and the company cannot work. So those are the two hackers that we are most familiar with. And their purpose is to damage, destroy a computer network or system or the information it contains. That is the purpose of a black hat hacker. We talked about the gray hat hackers, and we also talked about the white hat hackers. So a cyber attack is a result of a hacker doing something to a computer system. We normally think of this as a negative, but it can also be a positive. That's something you might want to consider when you're going into a career in cybersecurity. So what is it that we're protecting? All right, protecting the network and its contents and its availability is known as the CIA triangle. The CIA triangle has 3 sides, of course. That is the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of the network, the computer system itself, the actual physical equipment, and the integrity of the information that is contained within that system, the integrity of the system itself, and the availability of the system to do the job that the company requires so that the company can perform and profit and grow, okay? So we're going to talk a few minutes about the CIA triangle: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So let's start with confidentiality. Confidentiality means the information, or even sometimes the system itself, is kept secret from unauthorized individuals, all right? Now, confidentiality in the information itself that is contained on the system. This could be information that is vital to the company or is something that is important to be protected, all right? It may not be necessarily vital for the company to operate, but it is very important that this information be protected, all right? What type of information are we talking about? All right, we could be talking about company records. It could be payroll records. It could be information on products or services that they're developing or that they offer. It could be information regarding where they get their supplies, the supply chain information. It could also be customer information. That is information about the customer, their name, their address, their credit card numbers, their shopping list, what it is that they need, what is it that the company provides to these customers. This is all very vital information. Not all of it is absolutely vital for the company to operate, but the loss of any of this information could seriously hinder the company from operating at its optimum capacity or its top performance. So that is something that you want to think about when you talk about confidentiality. Now, there's also the confidentiality of the system itself. We're talking about the physical systems and the software and hardware that make up a computer network. Now, why is the confidentiality of the system important? Because if a hacker understands what type of equipment that you're using or what type of software that you're using, they more than likely will figure out a way to attack your system, okay? This is very important. The confidentiality of the physical network and the confidentiality of the software and firmware that is on that network that make that network operate can be considered confidential and is not something that the company wants anyone to know about. And that is because hackers, if they know you use a certain kind of server or they know you're using a certain particular kind of software, hackers will understand that software and know the vulnerabilities of that software. So you may not even want anyone to know what type of equipment, software, or hardware that you're using, all right? That's all part of confidentiality. This is what allows a company to operate. In the federal government of the United States, I just so happen to understand that there are certain agencies within the federal government that do not talk about what type of hardware, software, or equipment that they're using. All right, so that's something that is extremely important. Does someone have a question? Okay, the next thing we're going to go to is integrity. Integrity means that the system and the information it contains is unchanged and performing as expected. Integrity is part of the CIA triangle, and it is equally vital as the other two parts. And why is that? Because integrity means that you can rely on what you're seeing and what the information is, what the equipment is doing, how the software is performing. Hackers can be very sneaky, especially the black hat hackers, and they will get into a network, they will get into a system, they will manipulate the software or the hardware to do things that it was not intended to do or is detrimental to the company or the owner of that equipment. Integrity means that the information is reliable, it has been unchanged. And let me give you an example. A hacker will enter into or attack a network and insert an account into that particular network, and all of a sudden the company is being billed and sending out checks to this particular hacker, and the company has no idea that the information has been changed. The hacker is getting money every month or so, every week, because the company is paying him for what? For nothing. He just happened to be able to attack the system, get in there, manipulate the information, create files, delete files, change information, and all of a sudden he's getting rich, or he gets a free vacation where he doesn't have to pay for anything because the company is paying for it. Integrity of information is vital because you have a company that may be shipping out products or services. If someone attacks the information on the system, corrupts the integrity of that information, then those products and services can be sent to the wrong place, could be the wrong product or service. There's so many different things that can happen. And hackers sometimes will attack a system, make changes to the information or the system itself to cause it to do things that the company does not want it to do or doesn't expect it to do. And then they will simply just disappear. And oftentimes this will happen and go on for months, and the company will not even know that they are paying someone, because they look at their system, they see an account there, the account looks legit, and they're going to be paying this guy sometimes for months or years before they figure out that a hacker has manipulated your system. So integrity of the information is vital. Integrity of the network and the computers that rely on the company that rely on these computers can also be damaged or changed to do things that you don't expect them to do. I just so happened to know just recently this teenager who was not a professional hacker at all, but decided he was going to hack into a system. He hacked into the system at school, changed his grades. He also changed the air conditioning system so that the building was like 90 degrees, or I guess you could say that's 90 degrees in Fahrenheit. So it was very hot inside the school. So these are the type of things that hackers can do. They can change the environment, they can change the lighting, change when the grass is watered, and there's all this computer control. So the integrity of the system and integrity of the information is vital. That is one of the second legs of the CIA triangle. Next thing we're going to talk about is availability. In order for a company to operate and operate effectively, one of the most important things that they have to have is their systems, their software, their information has to be available to them so that they can work when they need to work. If a company is unable to work, is unable to perform or provide the services that they provide to their customers and to the community or to whoever they are, that information and that system has to be available to them whenever they need it. All right. Availability means the system and information it contains is ready and available to perform the required task. Ransomware, we'll talk a little bit about that later, but ransomware is basically a software that invades a system and denies the availability of that system to the owner, to the company. And what they do is they will block any access to any information or any control of the network or the systems so that the company is unable to operate unless they pay the hacker to get the system back. They lose control of the system. So availability is key. If a company is to operate and to perform as expected, then you must have that system available to you. And availability is the third leg of the CIA triangle. So we're talking about the confidentiality, the information is secure, the network is secure. Integrity, the information is pure, it is uncontaminated, unchanged, right? So the company can rely on the information that it is seeing, the system is working as it's supposed to. And availability, the system is there, the information is there when you need it, and there you have it. When you have confidentiality, integrity, and availability of your network system, you can feel fairly confident that your cybersecurity is pretty good. I'm not going to say it's perfect because confidentiality, integrity, and availability is all relative depending upon the company, the circumstances, the products and services that it's using. Some companies put a higher value on one over the other. It just depends. But confidentiality, integrity, and availability is the foundation of cybersecurity. Now, I'm going to open it up for a few questions. If anybody has any questions, now is the time, please. Okay, no questions. Let's move on. Thank you very much. The next thing we're going to talk about is how a cyber attack happens. One of the things that we need to understand when it comes to cybersecurity is that a cyber attack can happen at any time, anywhere. It can come from anywhere. The internet itself has no borders, okay? There's no gates, there's no locked doors on the internet. It is available to everybody with an internet connection everywhere in the world, any time of the day or night, all right? A cyber attack is a result of several factors, but it's always a result of someone either doing or not doing what they're supposed to do. And that is the tricky part. That is the thing that we have to think about when we go into cybersecurity as a career, is that there are some instances where a person can do exactly what it is they're supposed to do and launch or allow a cyber attack to occur. It happens, and that's what educating people about cybersecurity, understanding how cybersecurity networks, software, information all work together. That is how a cyber attack can happen, because people do exactly what they're supposed to do, or they do something they're not supposed to do, and they don't know they're not supposed to do it. All right. Cybersecurity has a lot of different facets, and one of those facets is educating the user, the person who sits at the keyboard with the mouse in their hand. That is something that we have to educate those people as much about cybersecurity as anyone else in the company. They have to understand what their part of it is. So a cyber attack is usually the result of someone either doing or not doing what they're supposed to do. That can be a misleading statement in the sense that sometimes the person who is doing something that they're supposed to do or doing something that they're not supposed to do could be the actual technician who maintains the networks and the systems. He could be the IT person in the company and doesn't realize that, you know, if you update this software the wrong way, it leaves a vulnerability. Or if you don't update or patch the system when you're supposed to, it leaves a vulnerability. We have to consider the human factor in every cyber attack, okay? So when you get into cybersecurity, when you start in your career in cybersecurity, one of the things that you're going to have to consider is how the human interacts with the network and the systems and the equipment that they're working with. Because as I said before, they may be doing exactly what it is they're supposed to do, but it still results in a cyber attack, all right? Cyber attacks usually result in the loss of control of data, the total loss of data and systems, the loss of resources, or all of the above. What I'm talking about is the fact that cybersecurity involves the control of the system, the control of the information on the system, and the control of the resources that you have to allow that system and the company to operate, okay? Resources could be something as simple as the financial resources you need to pay your employees, or it could be the raw materials you need to manufacture your product or your service, okay? One of the things that's very important when it comes to the loss of control of your data, your systems, or your resources is the fact that we have to understand how cybersecurity plays a role, sometimes beyond the computer network itself. Let me give you an example. The loss of resources. If you lose the integrity of your information, right, and a hacker gets into your system and he cancels an order, and those orders are the raw materials or the resources you need to create your product, okay? So now this has gone beyond your technology and into the resources that you need, right? So now you don't have the raw materials. He's actually used a cyber attack to venture beyond the computer network to change the products and services that you need to create your product or service, okay? He may change the payroll. So now you have employee problems, you have human resources problem because people are looking at their paychecks and they don't have the right amount of money in their paycheck that they were expecting. So now the cyber attack has branched out beyond just the network and into your employees. And your employees are angry or they're upset or they're not performing as they should because they can't pay their bills. They can't feed their families, all right? Loss of resources, the loss of data, and the loss of the system itself. These are all the results of a cyber attack. You either lose the data or the system as a whole, or somehow or another, the confidentiality and integrity of the system itself becomes a problem. You lose the resources or you lose all of the above, okay? Give me just a second. I'm going to adjust the light because I have the wrong light coming into the window here. So just give me a second. Okay, I think that's better. A little bit of light. Okay, so let's go on. What is a data breach? We talked about this earlier, and this is something that we're going to get into. What is a data breach? A data breach is a security incident in which sensitive, protected, or confidential data is copied, transmitted, viewed, stolen, manipulated, or used by an individual unauthorized to do so. A data breach is a very serious situation, and I'll explain to you why. Because a data breach could be the result of someone in the company revealing information that they should not, or the company losing information that is vital to their operations, information that may not be vital to their operations, but is vital to their public image, to their customer base, or to certain operations within the company. This information is considered sensitive. Sensitive information could be personal information of their customers. This is especially important when you think about maybe a small business such as a doctor's office, and he has the medical records of his patients, and someone actually attacks the company network. It's not very well secured. And now all the information as far as his patients is concerned has been stolen or manipulated. And he could be out of business, he could be sued. The information could be used against the patient themselves. Someone could be threatened or extorted because of information in their medical records. Personally identifiable information is extremely sensitive. It's extremely important that it be protected. But there's also information within the company that is not personal information, but is equally sensitive and important to the company. For example, you have a customer base. The number of customers, the products that they buy, the services that they purchase from your company is important and extremely sensitive, because maybe a competitor or someone else may want that information so that they can go after your customer base, or they can change some of the information that your customers are receiving. They do this and it becomes a problem for your company, because now your customer base is available to your competitor, and your competitor may have ideas about what to do or what information they need from your customer. Your competitor may want to know where you are getting certain resources or raw materials for your product or services. That information is very sensitive. So what you want to do is understand that a data breach may not be just personal information, but company information that allows the company to operate competitively in the business space. If your competitor can figure out why it is that your product or service is 20% cheaper than his, he needs that information. What are you doing, or how are you manufacturing your product so that you have a price advantage in the marketplace? That is confidential, sensitive company information. Okay, he finds that out, and all of a sudden his products are on par price-wise with yours. Okay, information can be stolen and held hostage. That's something that happens with ransomware. Information can be changed so that your customers receive the wrong product or the wrong service. These are all very sensitive company information that if your company does not have it, it's not available to them, or the integrity of the information has been corrupted in a data breach, then you have a very serious situation where you could be out of business. And that is another facet of cybersecurity, and that is protection of information or information security. Okay, that's another facet. As we talked about, there's so many different areas of cybersecurity. So if you're interested in cybersecurity, that's another area you may want to be focused on, is information security, information availability, data manipulation, that type of thing. So a data breach is any information that you lose control of and is being viewed, transmitted, or stolen by someone else. Now, I use the word transmitted. Listen to me very carefully when I say transmitted. Your employees, someone in the company, may share information with someone else that they're not supposed to. This is another situation where someone is doing something that they believe is the correct thing to do, but it is not. Okay, so you have an employee in the company, they receive an email or a phone call, right? And the person on the other end of the phone is asking for particular information. The employee does not realize that that information is not to be shared, and they transmit that information to the person. Cybersecurity is very interesting, because one of the important things about cybersecurity is that you have to understand what's known as the insider threat. Sometimes information can be transmitted from one person inside the company to another person inside the company, and that is still a data breach. the information has no business leaving a certain section of the company and going to another section of the company. And the company has reasons for that. But the employee doesn't know that. They may share information with another employee. That information gets outside that department. That employee who has the information is not supposed to have it. Who knows what they're going to do with it? So you have to understand that a data breach does not have to be a public situation. A data breach can happen inside a company involving only company employees, where information that is not supposed to be shared among employees occurs. And that happens to the detriment of the employee or the company. Let me give you an example. Someone in human resources shares information about a disciplinary action or some type of action that is about to be taken by the company. In this particular instance, I remember a company was planning to lay off a large number of employees. They were planning on laying off close to 30% of their workforce, all right? That information was supposed to remain within the executive staff and human resources. What happened was, and this is what's considered to be an internal data breach, was that that information somehow or another was transmitted outside of the executive staff and human resources. And all of a sudden, the entire company was beset by rumors that it was going out of business, that everybody was going to be laid off. It created a very serious situation inside the company with the employees, all right? That type of data breach inside the company can be as damaging or as dangerous as a data breach that escapes outside the company. So a data breach is a very serious situation, okay? And I want everybody to understand that and realize that what you're dealing with is information that is extremely sensitive and should be protected, okay? Anybody have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. I'm moving on to the next slide. What is a hacker? We already went over that. Hacker, white hat hacker, black hat hacker, gray hat hacker is a person who uses computers to gain unauthorized access to data or the computer itself. Now let's talk about the different types of cyber attack. Cyber attacks takes many forms, okay? A cyber attack can be the result of someone actually attacking the network, the software within the network. They can attack the people, the person within the network, okay? Someone who is actually operating the equipment or the software or manipulating the data. There's so many different types of cyber attack. And as you get into cybersecurity and you start exploring the field of cybersecurity, you may decide to focus on a particular type of cyber attack. Different types of cyber attacks include phishing, spear phishing, and whaling. And before I go any further, phishing, spear phishing, and whaling are very, very important concepts within cybersecurity because, as I said before, an attacker may decide to attack not the network, not the data, but the person operating the data. And that includes the person that is sitting at the desk or in the cubicle, or the person that's way up in the top of the tower, the executive, the CEO, one of the top people in the company. They may be the victim or the target of a cyber attack. And that's what's called whaling or spear phishing, where you identify one particular person within the company to attack. Social engineering. Again, this is an attack on the person themselves. This is the ability to manipulate a person to do something that they're either supposed to do or not supposed to do. They may be permitted to do something, but only under certain conditions. A social engineering attack will manipulate a person to do that thing, be outside the conditions or the parameters when they're supposed to do that. There's certain types of cyber attack that include malware, ransomware, and scareware. There's a denial of service attack, a DDoS. Again, this is another facet of cybersecurity that if you're interested in cybersecurity, the denial of service attack is a technical attack. It is an attack upon the network and the systems to deny the owner of the system the use of it. There's pretexting, there's credential reuse, password phishing, and baiting. These are all different types of cyber attacks that we're going to talk about. All right, let's begin with the phishing, spear phishing, and whaling. As I said, phishing is a cyber attack that uses a disguised email as a weapon, okay? The goal is to get the email recipient into believing that the message is something that they want or need. 90% of cyber attacks begin with an email. 90% of infections by viruses and malware that attack a company network or systems is the result of an email. People clicking on things they're not supposed to. All right. So the emails may masquerade as a request from the employee's bank, a note from someone in the company, as I said before, a trusted individual. The hacker will persuade the victim to click on the link, download the attachment, or in some way, or in some way to act in a way that they're not supposed to. One of the things that is really important to understand about a phishing attack is that a hacker will send out 100,000 emails to 100,000 email addresses. All he needs is one person to click on that link. And if the right person clicks on that link, he could literally make millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. He will infect a company, attack a company, deny the company use to their equipment, and tell them, I'll give you back your system for 10 Bitcoins. All right, that's the currency of the hacker. So what we're talking about is a phishing attack where the employee simply gets an email with an attachment or a link that says, hey, click on this. Or they use some other language that say, hey, your bank account has been compromised. We need you to click on this link and get this information. And then that's the result of a cyber attack. Now, one of the things I want you to understand is a cyber attack sometimes is not directed against the company, but the employee themselves. A cyber attack and a phishing email will convince an employee to do something such as click on a link because they believe it's from their bank. And the email will say that there's someone who's been attacking or their bank account has been hacked or frozen, and they need certain information from the individual. The individual provides that information to the hacker, believing that it's their bank, and the hacker goes about cleaning out their bank account. The hacker has attacked the individual, he has not attacked the company, but because he has a list of the entire company emails, he can, target an individual or a group of individuals or a particular department in the company. And he may not want anything from the company, but he can clean out the person's bank account. All right. So a cyber attack is not necessarily directed against a company. A company can be a vehicle for a cyber attack. This is something you're looking at is actually an authentic hacker's or phishing email. All right. It looks like it's from PayPal. It is not. Hackers, black hat hackers, are extremely adept at creating phony, fake emails and websites. You look at it, you don't know the difference. This is literally a phony phishing email from a hacker. And if you look at it, you have no idea that it is from a hacker. You think it's from PayPal, and PayPal's telling you that we require your response because something has happened with your account. If you look at, in this particular instance, you look right here, look at the email. All right. When you get into cybersecurity, when you start to become a cybersecurity expert and you understand what you're looking at, you will look at things like this first. Is this really from PayPal? No, it's from an Outlook email address. But this is what a phony phishing email will look like when it shows up in your employees or your email account. Let's talk about phishing. This is one of the oldest type of cyber attacks dating back to the 1990s and still one of the most widespread and effective forms of hacking. Phishing emails and techniques have become increasingly sophisticated. You'd be surprised. Spear phishing. Now, spear phishing is an email spoofing attack that is targeted toward a specific organization or individual. We already talked about this. This is when a hacker goes after a particular department inside your company. They may attack a specific individual inside your company. They may not be after anything from the company at all. As I said, they may be after a particular person or get a particular person to do something and set up an attack on the company at a later date. That is very common of hackers. That's a common hacker technique, is to get the employee to do something and it appears that nothing is actually happening, but he is actually laying the groundwork and setting up an attack for a later date. They're not typically initiated at random at all. That's why they're called spear phishing. They're very targeted. but they are conducted by perpetrators who are very, very adept at what it is that they're doing. They know exactly who it is they're attacking. They know exactly what company they're attacking. They know exactly what department inside the company they're attacking. Everything that they do is very well thought out and well planned. 9 times out of 10, they're after trade secrets or military information. So you will find that people who do spear phishing are usually out or being employed by a foreign government, a major corporation. They are not hackers for personal profit, but they are hackers for personal profit in the sense that you can hire them to attack people, to attack certain companies and organizations. So remember that spear phishing is very targeted, okay? Different type of spear phishing attacks, as I said, they're highly targeted. They will study the victim. They're going to know everything about the victim, okay? They're going to know their job, they're going to know their family, they're going to know the social media activity, they're on Facebook. They do everything that they possibly can to know exactly who it is they're attacking, and they're going to use that information to manipulate a person. They may be following the person's Facebook page, they may be following the person's Twitter account. They are focused on this individual because that is a person that they're going to attack, okay? Now, whaling. As I said before, whaling, and you know a whale is a really big fish. Whaling is a specific attack that targets high-profile employees of a company, such as the CEO, chief financial officer, the executives, who typically have access to most or all of the company's most sensitive data. These attackers' goal is to manipulate the victim to authorize high-value wire transfer to the attacker. I have seen situations where hackers have convinced the CEO or the chief financial officer of a company to literally transfer millions and millions of dollars with a single click of a mouse to a person that they believe is from another company, but it's actually the hacker themselves. It is not uncommon for a CEO or individual of high stature within the company, right, to be fooled into delivering to the hacker the entire budget of the company. And I'm talking $8-10 million at a time. And that's not an exaggeration. These are actual examples of people high up in the company being convinced that they're talking to or communicating with someone from another company and that they're going to complete a transaction and send out millions of dollars from the company, never to be seen again. What we're going to look at now is how a social engineering attack actually occurs. It's a short video that I brought up from YouTube, but I want you to see it so you can understand exactly how a social engineering attack will occur, and then we'll talk a little bit more about social engineering.
Traditional hacking aims to compromise the security settings of IT systems and applications. Social engineering attackers attempt to exploit the users of these technologies by claiming to be employees, vendors, or support personnel to try to trick the workers. People are trusting and willing to help others, and the attackers use that to their advantage by deceiving users into revealing information that compromises data security. Traditional protection from malware and viruses will not protect you from a social engineering attack. Once they gather bits and pieces of the organization, they'll be able to put the puzzle together and exploit the business. One technique is phishing emails, which are typically the most successful form of social engineering. This is where hackers will send out emails to their victims in hopes of gaining sensitive information by tricking them into clicking a malicious link, giving the hacker access to information. Another technique is physical breaches. This is where the hacker does an impersonation of someone else in order to gain access to a secure location. Attackers can also use the technique of pretext calling. This is where an attacker makes up a scenario to obtain the information they need. Pretext calling often requires trust to be formed between the attacker and the victim. Don't be fooled by social engineering tactics. Be sure to train employees to follow safe security measures in the event of an attack. Employees should always be cautious when sharing personal information on social media platforms. Never open an email that looks suspicious or let a stranger connect to your wireless network. Don't give strangers personal information until you can verify where they are calling from. Review security policies to stay up to date with the latest social engineering techniques. Always use a paper shredder to properly dispose of your printed material. It is important to treat security awareness and training as an investment. For more information on social engineering, please visit us at greyvoc.com.
All right. All right, let's get back to our presentation. I hope everybody got the opportunity to see exactly what social engineering is about. Social engineering is about manipulating people into breaking normal security procedures and best practices in order to gain access to systems, networks, physical location for financial gain. Social engineering is probably one of the most devious methods of hacking ever devised, because it has nothing to do with the technology. It's all about getting the person to do something that they would not normally do. Social engineering can take many forms. As I said, it's the art of getting the person to do something they would not normally do through persuasion, coercion, or the desire to help. There are many different forms of social engineering, but the three that I just talked about, persuasion, coercion, or the desire to help, are the most powerful. Okay, if I can persuade you to do something, I can actually, and this is something that hackers, especially social engineering targeted hackers, will persuade you to do something believing that there is a benefit to you, that the company will reward you, or that you will be rewarded some other way. And they will persuade you to do something that you're probably not supposed to do, don't realize you're not supposed to do. And then once they do that, they will actually get you enthusiastic about doing it, okay? That's persuasion. They have persuaded you to do something because you believe that at this particular point, this is going to be good for the company, it's going to be good for my career. The next thing is coercion. Coercion is threatening you or in some way using a negative motivation to get you to do something, all right? Someone may call you on the phone and tell you that my name is so-and-so and I am the chief financial officer of this company and I need this information and I need it now. And if you don't get it to me, then I'm going to get you fired, or I'm going to fire you, or I'm going to demote you. Now you've been coerced. You may not understand or know who this person is. You may know the name or think you know who you're talking to, but you don't. And you're coerced into doing something that you don't. That is a form of social engineering. These are all forms of a cyber attack, but it's just a different way of going about doing it. The final most powerful way of social engineering is to spark in that person a desire to help. We all human beings, and as human beings, we want to be able to help one another when we see someone in trouble. A desire to help is a very powerful, powerful sensation. And if the social engineering hacker can get you to do this because you feel like you're helping someone who is in trouble, then guess what? You've been hacked. That's all there is to it. Criminals use social engineering tactics because it's usually the best way to exploit your natural inclination to trust, and that is to discover your hack. Forgive me. It's much easier for someone to get their password from you by asking you for that password than to figure out a way to hack your password, especially a really weak password. Social engineering is all about getting you to do something that you would not normally do. A person in a situation where they feel a sudden desire to help someone, and then that someone sends an email and says, look, I'm at home, I'm trying to work from home, work remotely, which is really big right now here in the United States and throughout the world, but I can't get into the system because my password is not working and I can't get a hold of anybody from IT. Can I borrow your password just so I can get in? And you think you're talking to someone that's an employee of the company, and you find out later on that it's not. You've actually given up your password, and you gave it up willingly because you wanted to help somebody. That is a form of being able to try and help somebody, or you're coerced into giving up your password. There are different types of social engineering attacks, but these are all methods of doing it. Spear phishing, phishing and whaling are all forms of social engineering, as I talked about. Email. as we talked about also, is the idea that an email, a criminal managed to hack or social engineering a person's email and get them to click on something or give up some information, or the hacker can somehow or another get access to the company email account. He can get if he can get access to the company email account, he can send out all kinds of emails requesting all kinds of information. People inside the company think that it is the company themselves asking for this information, and they will surrender it. Okay. Another thing that we need to talk about, and I haven't talked about passwords yet, but people who actually have passwords that are weak are some of the first people that inside a company that are attacked. And what happens is that your password may be something really ridiculous, like password 123456, or it's just something really simple that is easy for a hacker to guess. And hackers use what's known as password cracking software. And the password cracking software will literally bombard a website with a password, different combinations of passwords, until they get the right one. That's a very simplified version of what a password hacking software is. But once a hacker has that password, people have a tendency to use the password across multiple websites. And if that person understands who you are, understands where you work, where you do your banking, where you do your shopping, they can use that password. And if you use that password on all your accounts, then they can get into all your accounts and pretty much take over your life. That's a different topic. We'll talk about passwords later. But never, ever use the same password across multiple sites. Change your passwords at least twice a year. That's a little tip there. Think before you click. Social engineering is all about getting you to do something you do not want to do. So do not open any email or any attachment that you're not expecting. This is one of the things that I teach people and in cybersecurity. And when you get into the cybersecurity field, you will find that people will do this. They will receive an email with an attachment or a link, and they weren't expecting it. They don't know what it is, but it will look like it came from someone in the company or someone that they know, and they will go ahead and click on it. That is another form of social engineering, where one person's email is hacked, and then that person will receive or appear to be receiving an email from another person inside the company or a friend outside the company, right? Not knowing that their email has been attacked or hacked. And the hacker is actually using that email address to send malicious ransomware or malware or viruses in the email. You're sitting there at your desk at your company, you get an email from someone upstairs in the company or an old friend from across the country, and they say, hey, good to see you, check this out, and you click on it, not knowing that that person's email has been compromised. These are all forms of social engineering. Don't open attachments that you're not expecting. If you get an attachment or an email or something like that from inside the company, make sure you check with the person and say, hey, what is it that you sent me? These are all forms of cyber attacks. Email social engineering. Never share email addresses with unfamiliar websites that you don't know. This is all part of information security, which is another facet of cybersecurity once you get into it. And that is understanding what information to share, what information to send out, what information not to send out. Information security, cybersecurity, these are very interconnected. So you want to think about that before you go about doing that. When you get into the cybersecurity field, what is it that I want to do? Do I want to work with the networks? Do I want to work with the software? Do I want to work with the people? Or do I want to work with a combination of all of them? Emails are very common traps, okay? These are some of the methods that the hackers will use. Court notices to appear, never come in the email, but people will get those. IRS notices, the IRS does not send emails. Job offers that mention you explicitly, okay, that is not something that you get very often. Sometimes you will. That's a tricky one. Bank notices don't usually include email unless you set it up that way. These are all different forms of email, social media attacks, Facebook, tech support emails, hackers and social engineering. They try to obtain information and passwords. These are all forms of social engineering that are very, very key. There's social engineering, the phishing attacks. And that's one of the things that you have to be aware of. These are very common attacks. Tech support, just really across the board. It's a lot of these slides that I think are a little bit overkill. Another thing, and this is one of the things that I talked about earlier, was the desire to help. This is a form of social engineering that is probably the most powerful, because if someone in the company needs help and you're trying to help the company, you're trying to help this person, you're going to have a powerful urge to do things that you're probably not supposed to do. And you're probably thinking, or the employee is probably thinking, that they could get away with it just this once. Or maybe just this one time I'll do this, but don't ask me again. All right. It always starts with, a description of the problem. All right. The attackers will take the time to explain to the victim what the problem is and how they can help. They often use the victim's name. They know a little bit about the work environment. They know a little bit about the department that the person works in, maybe know some of his fellow employees. This is all the work of a very meticulous, studied hacker, social engineer, okay? And they're going to know everything they need to know to get you to believe that they are someone that they're not, and to act in a way that you shouldn't. And that is the strength or the power of convincing someone, hey, this is what needs to be done. I need your help. Okay. Do you know who I am? This is the conversion. This is a coercion method. All right. They will tell you, I am the CFO, I'm the CEO, and I need this right now. And if you don't get it to me, I'm going to fire you. It's a form of bullying and intimidation that works. People will be frightened into doing something that they're not supposed to do. One of the things that you have to understand when you're talking to people about social engineering is that they are not to be intimidated or manipulated by someone they don't know. Okay, that's how you stop the attack. Someone calls you on the phone and says, I'm the vice president of this company. My name is such and such, and I need this. All right. You have to educate people against this type of attack and let them know, hey, stop what you're doing. Tell the person on the phone, I'll call you right back. These are things that when you're interested in cybersecurity and you're interested in social engineering and you're interested in the networks and the software, you're going to have to understand how these people, the employees or the executives in the company, how they interact. When you're part of the cybersecurity universe, then there's no particular facet of the cybersecurity universe that does not have contact or in some way bleed over into another facet, okay? You can tell a person about social engineering, right? And you have to let them understand, if you are someone who is a victim of social engineering, you're opening it up to a technical attack, all right? You're sharing information that leads to a data breach. So when you get into cybersecurity as a career, what you want to do is focus on the fact that you need to know a little bit about everything so you can understand everything, but you don't have to be an expert in everything, okay? So many different forms of social engineering, so many different forms of cyber attack. You want to get the people around you to stop the attack. When you get into your career, no matter what area you decide to focus on, one of the things that is going to be key is response, all right? In a cyber attack, response is key. How are you going to respond? And you're going to find out whether you're working with the networks, whether you're working with the, excuse me, whether you're working with the networks, whether you're working with the software, whether you're working with people, okay? The response to a cyber attack is normally well-planned, well-executed, and that saves the company a lot of money, a lot of time. You have to understand, okay, why are these packets coming across my network at this rate? Why are so many packets showing? Why are so many things hitting my website? Why are so many of the employees doing this or doing that? What's going on with my email? These are all facets of cybersecurity that as you get into the field, you will understand how they interact, how they work together to create a secure system, secure confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay, I want to thank everybody at this particular time for participating in the class. I will be available for any questions that you have regarding this topic. If there's anything you need to know, if you want to talk about certain areas or certain facets of cybersecurity as a career, I'd be more than happy to talk with you about it, give you an idea of how to go about moving into that particular area. Once again, my name is Tom Huskerson. I'm in Alexandria, Virginia, And that's class for today. I'm open and available for questions at this time.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks a lot, sir.
Tom, there's one
Yes.
question. What is the best way to secure our password? Like you can just give in one example.
Okay. The best way to secure a password is to ensure its complexity. That is very important. Hold on a second here. To ensure its complexity, and by that I mean ensuring its complexity means that the password contains specific numbers, letters, and symbols. Okay, you may have a password that is your puppy's name. Let's say your dog's name is Ralph, and Ralph is 14 years old. Well, if your password is Ralph 14, that is not a secure password. What you want to do is you want to incorporate uppercase, lowercase letters. You want to exchange those letters for special symbols, and you also want to include numbers and institute them or create them in such a way so that they cannot be easily guessed. What you want to do is keep in mind that a password should be at least 14 characters long. It should include uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special characters, the @ symbol, the exclamation point, the question mark. If you have 14 characters and you have that combination of numbers and symbols, etc., then you have a secure password. Anything else, especially nowadays, is considered to be weak. And that's not good when you have a weak password. But also keep in mind that we're moving into a new age of security where passwords eventually will be eliminated. There's certain companies, including Apple and Mozilla Firefox, which make a browser, and they are working on eliminating the password and using other forms of authentication. But a secure password is a password that is basically multiple letters, multiple numbers, multiple special symbols, uppercase and lowercase.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Any other questions like from Sunil Kumar, Amir, and Ranjit?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Oh, no, ma'am, I'm new to the subject. I'll go through once again.
I'm gonna share the topic and the details, which has been covered today. I'll share with you guys.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Mukesh, you can just introduce yourself like to Mr. Tom. Mukesh is an Indian tutor,
Hi.
Tom, so he will just introduce himself.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good morning, how are you? Or good afternoon or good evening there in India. How are you?
I'm fine. How about you? So, this side, Mukesh Kumar Rao. I'm also an instructor in cybersecurity and investigation for department, where we teach cybersecurity and penetration testing more oftenly with the practical stuff. And although the syllabus is covered properly, no problem.
I'm having a very hard time hearing you. There's some noise or something that is interfering.
Sunil sir, please put yourself on mute, Sunil sir.
Mute. Yeah. So hi Tom, how are you?
Yes, I can hear
This
you
side
now.
Mukesh. So yeah. So this side Mukesh. I am also a cybersecurity instructor. You can say working in lots of different organization and having working industry experience in penetration testing, cyber investigation, and cyber forensics part. So yeah, we also teach in cybersecurity area. What are the steps are there? How we can secure? Mainly, I focus on the practical stuff. How it can be secure in a realistic world examples. Because in recent cybersecurity and cybercrime is going very high onto the topic, not in the IT sector as well as in the different sectors like financial, hospitals. Even due to the COVID-19, all the working space is coming into the digital world. So that means the more digital data, the higher sensitivity and the privacy will required in that area also. So
Absolutely.
we will
Absolutely.
work together. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, one of the things that I was trying to explain is when you get into cybersecurity, and you made some very good points, we have so much data, so much information out there that is available to people, and so much information that is improperly secured, especially with the COVID-19, and you got people that are working from home, which is real popular here in the United States right now. People working from home, they're not securing the information. They're not using a secure method to enter their company's network from their home. They're not using, let's say, a VPN. And for those of you who do not know what a VPN is, it's considered a virtual private network where the data that is transmitted between yourself and your particular party or whoever you're dealing with is encrypted, so it cannot be seen or read by someone who may be intercepting the signal or intercepting the transmission. But cybercrime depends upon incidents where people are not using the proper precautions in information security. They're not using the proper precaution in network security, in data security, how they handle or store the data. It's just, you know, and like you said, cybercrime is exploding, and it's exploding because of the lack of information and the lack of knowledge of not only the people that are at the keyboard, but sometimes the people that are actually managing the networks and the firewalls and the systems. They may not understand or may not be able to keep up with all the things that are happening there. Does that answer your question, or did I address that properly?
Yeah, definitely. Correct.
Yeah, yeah. And I think another thing I think is, and one of the most important things that are going to happen in cybersecurity over the next 5 years, and this is important, is that the authentication methods of people accessing information have to become more secure. And I'll tell you why. Because a lot of information and a lot of network activity, everything is moving into what's considered to be a cloud format, the cloud, you know, the outsourcing of the storage of information, the outsourcing of networks, the outsourcing of software and firmware, and all this other stuff that is moving to the cloud. In order for the cloud to be considered secure, it has to come a new form of authentication of people accessing that cloud and that information. That is why passwords are about to be go under. If we still have passwords in 5 years, I'll be very surprised. But I'm telling you now, because of the way the businesses are moving, the way infrastructure is moving into the cloud, then authentication is going to become key. And there's a lot of things that there's going to be a problem with that. We're not going to get into that now. But as you move into your cybersecurity career, you may want to consider understanding how authentication and handshake and cybersecurity actually work, so that people can use remote systems and remote technologies securely without them being hacked.
Yeah, definitely sure. We have to check out this.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks a lot. Thank
Well,
you
you're
so
quite
much.
welcome. Is there any other questions or any questions about any of the slides I presented, any of the information I presented? If there's any questions, now's a good time. Or you can email me at my email address, which I will provide to you. I should have it now. Or you can email me at trueroad@yahoo.com. You'll see it right there. That's my email address that I pretty much send everybody to. So, but if you have any questions about anything I presented today, or even if you would like a copy of the presentation, I'll be happy to send you a copy of the presentation if you want to have it for your own reference. Just let me know. Feel free to email me. I'm available. I will answer your questions as soon as I can. I can't guarantee it's going to be right away, but I will make myself available to answer your questions via email.
Yeah, Tom, please send a copy of the presentation to my email ID, rashmi@cyberradarsystem.com.
You got it. I'll send it immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, everyone. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Yes,
Bye.
good day.